This is a very important subject that I have spent a great deal of time working on in order to remove the confusion that was created by the British purposefully causing chaos and confusion about the identity of India. And when I say India, I'm going to say its original cultural name so that I don't stay in the colonizing mindset. So India is the name given to the country, the culture known as Bharat, Bharat, Bharat. That's the original and actual name of the country and culture that we now call India. We call it India in the same way that if you get a dog from the pound, you give it a name. Unfortunately, if you stole the dog, put it in the pound, and then gave it a name, that's called colonization. So this is what has happened in the past. And so that there's no confusion about this, hate speech is when you hate someone and you're speaking out against them. But truth telling is when you don't hate them at all, but when the truth needs to be spoken. So, as the saying goes, those who don't study history are bound to repeat it. So from where we stand right now, there's many things that have been happening for, let's say, about 1,000 years that are a kind of dark ages for our planet, where whole cultures have been enslaved and very badly damaged and displaced. And we fought very dangerous and hurtful wars where civilians were the main casualty. It wasn't honorable that soldiers at least went and fought on a field somewhere, but it was dishonorable and despicable and hurtful. So without ourselves becoming hateful or hating the beings who did this, we need to feel compassion, but also determination to not have it happen again as far as is possible. And that determination should be done not only without hate, but without violence, but by applying social pressure and loving conversation and having informed opinions. So within the next 20 years, you're going to see the history books of the world rewritten so that the history of what really happened is told, because those who were harmed terribly by what happened deserve that. They deserve to have their history spoken correctly. This should not lead any of us to want revenge. That's missing the point of the history lesson after all, because revenge will only perpetuate the cycle. But an absence of truth will also perpetuate the cycle. And we're dangerously poised there with the kinds of distortions that the media we now have developed can create. So it's very important that we have good, clear, historically minded, non-angry and hateful truth tellers, so that we can redact the school education throughout the world and speak the truth about places where very inappropriate and harmful things happened. And that truth will act as a shield from that happening again. And perhaps democracy will become what it is supposed to be, which is something that benefits all living entities, not just all human beings. This is a side note, democracy, as we know it, did not come from the Greeks. It came from the Iroquois First Nation of the eastern United States. It's another story. I'll tell it another time. But the reason I'm beginning with a prelude like this is because of the times we live in. If I say something negative, I don't want it to sound like I've taken another side. Just like in politics, Democratic and Republican or the two-party system aren't supposed to hate each other. They're supposed to represent viewpoints that both have truth, that are eventually reconciled into a better way of doing everything, getting the best from both sides, not two opposite camps that hate each other and speak of each other in a despicable way. And again, our governmental system has become degraded recently into this. And we're now seeing a fragmentation in a political process that was supposed to be opinions that are informed, compromising, and finding the best of both worlds. That's what democracy was originally about. But democracy, it can't be anonymous, and it requires an informed group of people who know what they're talking about and are informed on the issues before they vote. So interestingly enough, what I'm going to share with you tonight is a part of understanding how distortions take place in truth-telling. So I'm going to talk to you about some part of the knowledge of Bharat that got very distorted by the Christian and Islamic conquerors. It didn't have to happen, not intrinsically by either Islam or Christianity, but the most extreme forms of those two religious traditions have been weaponized and used to destroy parts of the world, to colonize violently, and to force their way of thinking upon other people. That is hateful. That isn't religious. That is simply an abominable political usage while using religion as a shield. Rape and pillage military, wherever they exist, are an abomination. And both Christianity and Islam allowed rape and pillage tactics to spread throughout the world for their own acquisitive nature so they could gain power and control. And they enslaved whole civilizations by doing so. Not only was this a travesty of human nature and our relation to nature and to all species, but it also damaged our creativity. Because you can't simultaneously be beastly and hateful and hurtful and creative. They don't go together. So you could say that all of this damaged the creativity of the cultures, especially that were harmed, but it also damaged the creativity of the perpetrators. So what we're going to talk about tonight is actually creativity. But what'll be unique is I'm going to share with you the way that symbols are used to represent ideals. The word idol, so let me show you something. So here is a set of idols, if you will. These idols, this is Saraswati, this is Brahma. These are the personifications of the creative force that exists in the material world around us and within every being. Right now, our cells are being recreated in our body because millions are dying right as I speak in all of our bodies. And we're unaware of it. We basically don't see it or feel it or hear it. So these two idols are actually ideals. And in the dictionary, idol and ideal are the exact same word. Another way to think of this is if you have a thought in your mind, that thought is an image. That image is an idol. And you may have it as an ideal. So if you're holding ideals in your mind, then if you decide suddenly you want to break idols, you have to start with your own head and break your head. You understand? So the cultures that thought, I hate idol worship, were forgetting for the moment that that's an ideal that lives in their head. So if they were honest, they'd crack their own head first, where the idols live, where the ideals live, that I don't like ideas. But how can you have ideas about not liking ideas? It's a bit hypocritical, isn't it? So these are not literal. These idols, ideals, are a way of stimulating us to meditate upon the creative process within the world around us and within ourselves. They have symbols and images and more appendages or heads, or they're holding something like an instrument, or they look in 4 directions, or they do interesting things with stories associated. So the people who created these also created trigonometry, algebra, mathematics of all kinds, calculus, zero, the so-called Arabic numerals, which are really not. They're the number system from India, from Bharat. So while holding these ideals, they also were the most rigorous scientific culture that has existed on our planet. And all of the science we're experiencing in the world today is the legacy of Bharat. Every single science, from chemistry to metallurgy. There's an iron pillar in New Delhi that is 2,000 years old and hasn't rusted. It's not iron only, it's stainless steel. There's a 2-ton stainless steel pillar that's been in the ground for a couple thousand years that was created 2,000 years ago in Bharat by a technology that the rest of the world didn't know until just the last 100 years. Things like that. And so far, no one has looked at the whole cultural picture. Why? We've been too busy colonizing. We've been too busy making up a story about the culture we were stealing from. And India was one of the big cultures. Bharat was one of the wealthiest cultures that we stole from. The irony is that at the end of taking all the wealth, everything that could possibly be taken, the British and other colonizers took from Bharat. And that's why in 1600s, 1700s, before it was colonized, Bharat had 25% of global GDP. They were that wealthy. And now the rupee is 60 rupees to the US dollar. That's how much was taken. Now imagine this. And of all the cultures in our world, Bharat has a language that is the basis of their culture called Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the most, it means the perfected language, Samskritam. It was perfected to such a degree that there are 4,000 grammatical rules, that it is the parent of Greek, Latin, Aramaic, Hebrew, and all the European languages. The word Russian comes from the word Rishi. The word Ireland comes from the word Aryan. So Gaelic. Scandinavian is Skanda, one of the sons of Shiva and Durga. So the mother of all of our global modern languages right now, with influences into Japan and into Korea and into China, but of all the European languages, Sanskrit is the mother. And that language has been used to compile a library of ancient wisdom that is the largest library of ancient wisdom existing on our planet to this day. While everyone else was taking the money of Bharat, the Germans took the knowledge. You know why they did that? Because German comes from Sanskrit directly. German is not a Latin-based language. It's directly, etymologically rooted back into Sanskrit. And that's why Hitler misused that understanding by calling the German people Aryans, as if they were some superior people who had a right to dominate and harm others. That's not what Aryan means. It means noble, and therefore in that nobility, treating everyone as if they're a divine being. So Aryan actually means treating every living entity as if they are divine, which is considered the noble way to live. So that's what Aryan originally and still means, with the connotation created by World War II and the German misuse of that. But the Germans knew to use that because all the German rocket scientists had studied Sanskrit in college, not Latin. And this is why when the first nuclear bomb was made, Oppenheimer, one of its creators, was in the desert sands of New Mexico when the first atomic explosion was detonated. And when he saw it go off, he quoted the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 11. He said, Kalohi Smin. When Bhagavan, the Supreme Being, who'd avatared on earth, was asked in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, who are you? In the way that you're eating the whole world and everything here is being consumed by you, created and consumed. Who are you? Bhagavan said, Kalohi Smin, I am time, and I'm devouring everyone. Oppenheimer said this, watching the first nuclear explosion created with rocket science that the Germans took from the Vedic library. So, as we begin our conversation about Brahma and Saraswati, I wanted to give you this prelude so you would understand that I have a mission, a purpose. This is not just a talk about them as a curiosity. They aren't just a curiosity, they're a way of being in contact with your own creative faculties and knowing how to have ideals about being creative that keep creativity an active force and principle in your life for your entire life. Not something that wanes as you get older, not something that's dependent only on circumstance, but something that you become educated in how to address, mobilize, increase, and use as a constructive force for the well-being of yourself and all beings. Without creativity, we die. There's only two processes then, maintenance and destruction. And this is also why the three primary deities of Bharat, which are Brahma, Saraswati for creativity. You'll note they're always male and female. I'll explain that. Shiva and Durga for destruction, recycling, and Mother and Father Nature. And Vishnu and Lakshmi, the ideals or personification of maintenance and the well-being of all beings, of balance and well-being. So just think, there's a set of deities who embody and personify balance and well-being. Just think what your life would be like without clothing, food, shelter, and medical treatment. Think how lacking in wellness and security and safety you would be if you didn't have those four things. That's Lakshmi. Vishnu is, think what it would be like if you couldn't sit balanced but kept falling over. Think if you couldn't walk down the street without falling over. Think if you couldn't reconcile the opposing departments of your body and stay balanced. So this doesn't mean praying in yoga. This means balance. This doesn't mean praying at all. That's Christian. This means balance. And balance means you've got the right relationship between all the opposing forces around you and within you. And that only happens when you align yourself with the truths of the laws of nature, which are divine in origin. So balance is the symptom of divinity. It's the symptom that you're cooperating with the laws of nature. And as soon as you're not, you'll fall over this way or you'll fall over this way. But that also means that if you cultivate your creativity, let's call that your right hand for a moment, or you cultivate getting rid and cleansing. So let's say you go on a big cleanse, but you do it for a whole year. And all of a sudden you've lost all your muscle mass and all your weight and you just end up dying. That's out of control, getting rid of toxins. Out of control creativity is you have a massive tumor, and that massive tumor has been growing because your department of growth is madly out of control. Just think what would happen if you just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. In no time, you'd be 20 feet tall, and your body would be like a big tumor. It wouldn't be cancerous, but it would just be massive and distorted. And there would be no proportionality left. So that's an out of control creative department. But without a creative department, we can't live. Without a recycling department, we can't live. So these three pairs of divine imagery, these three divine symbols and images are to act as reminders and inspiring influences to help us become participants in those three fundamental forces that we're made of here and surrounded by here. In other words, we're supposed to utilize them to align ourselves. Before we're done, I'm going to tell you why these two were removed in India and only leaving two, Vishnu, Lakshmi, and Shiva, Durga, and that led to sectarianism. But tell me which one of those departments in your being, creativity, recycling, and balance, you'd like to get rid of. Tell me what sect you want to join. Do you want to only go for Shiva and be a full-time recycler and fasting only? Do you want to go for Vishnu and have balance? But pray tell, how can you have balance without creativity? Have you thought it through? Did the Abrahamic religions, especially Islam and Christianity, care to think at all what hypocrites they were for smashing idols outside themselves, but they were dumb enough to have them in their head without even knowing what it meant? They didn't know that idea and idol are the same exact thing. This is just an idea made out of a substance of matter. There's no difference. This is the same idea made out of mental energy. Soon as you understand that, you would never again burn a library, smash other people's ideas, thinking yours were the only correct ones. This is where those two religions went wrong. I know they didn't go wrong in their fundamental ideas. I've studied them. I know they have sacredness and wisdom in their sacred books. But in direct violation of that sacred vow with the divine, they became greedy and colonized and enslaved the world in the name of their religion. We all need to know the difference between enslavement in the name of religion and the honest, sincere respect that every form of personal relationship with the divine, or lack thereof, should have from us. Someone says, I don't want that relationship, we say, your choice. Someone says, I have this relationship, we say, interesting, your choice. Not my business. Not my business to enforce mine upon yours. And today's talk is not about how that destroyed the world, but it is about how that destroyed creativity. Because our conversation tonight is about creativity as well. So the last thing I want to say before I officially begin is that Sanskrit language has been used to record knowledge over the last hundreds of thousands of years. 5,000 years ago, all of the oral traditions that they had were written down in Sanskrit so they wouldn't be lost. The only reason that Bharat is still got the biggest library in the world of ancient knowledge, the only reason they still exist as a culture, and 83% of Bharat are still adhering to their own culture after 1,000 years of punishing colonization by Islam and 300 years by Christianity. And still 83% of the culture of Bharat still adhere to their original ancient culture. You cannot find another example like that on our whole planet. Everyone else caved in within 50 years to those two religions as they swept across the world, devastating everyone in their path. Again, not the sincere followers of Jesus, not the sincere followers of the Quran, but the ones who were weaponized. We need to learn to talk this way. Weaponized religion is a terrible, terrible, twisted irony. Defending yourself is all you would do if you're a truly respectful being of the divine. And you would only make that a last resort. And reason and soft power would always be first. And this is the very basis of the Vedic civilization of Bharat. And it's advocated in all the texts. And it's just for this reason that the people living in Bharat have never left the boundaries of their culture with an army and raped, pillaged, burned libraries, destroyed temples, destroyed civilizations, taken prisoners, taken slaves in their entire history. With that as an introduction, I want to point something out to you, something remarkable. Just at the end of colonization, just as it was done and the British were about to be kicked out, the very amazing gurus and teachers in Bharat said, no, you didn't take the right stuff. You took the trinkets. You forgot the jewels. And they saw the moment in the 60s. They knew it. They looked, they saw it. Their culture was ready for them to do it, and the rest of the world was ready for them to do it. That's where people like myself, who had looked at our own civilization and said, why are you lying to me? Why are you destroying the world? Why are you trying to get me to go to Vietnam and kill women and children with horrible weapons? Why are you trying to do these atrocious things? That isn't honorable. I saw this at 13. I was angry at my entire generation at 13 of elders. Why are you lying to me? Why are you forcing your religion on me without giving me answers to my questions. And worse, why are we devastating the world with these horrible wars? And your response to it is making more weapons. Why don't we try to understand everyone? And lo and behold, right at that moment, a whole group of amazing gurus came across and landed right in our midst, right in the midst of our psychedelic, pot-smoking, mind-blowing reality. But if anybody was paying attention and wasn't just there to kill themselves, they weren't there to be an addict. They were there to be free. So being an addict is not being free. So all of us who were sincere, yeah, we experimented with drugs. Who wouldn't? We were psychology majors, and LSD was being tested by psychologists. We didn't think it was a drug. We thought it was psychology. But what it did for us was it showed us how much more there was to know than what we knew. What psychedelics did for every shamanic culture, who would use them a little while, then stop. And the shaman would say, you may not do this again, you're done. 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times, vision quest, now you're done. Now you have to see that yourself. It's between you and the ideals we showed you through these substances. Now you must learn to see those ideals directly and serve them. But you've got to decide. No one can make that decision for you. It's entirely individualistic in that regard. It is not something you join. And so the yoga that came to us, the yoga, which is all the philosophies, are yoga. They're all a linking of us to an invisible but higher ideal that is present by its effects, but not directly visible. And those gurus and teachers, each of them carrying the seeds of part of this grand library, and some of them being a little too far out. But that sorts itself out after a while, because the library is too good. You can't fool people very long when there's a library that's supposed to be behind you, because they can say, where does your knowledge come from? And you say, I made it up. But if you didn't make it up, you'll say this part of the library, this book in the library, has been that way for thousands of years, and you point backwards. Whether you're white-skinned or brown-skinned, that's how you do it. You point to the book in the library that your wisdom comes from, that's been a tradition for thousands of years, that great thinkers and seers saw, and you say, I'm only following in their footsteps. That's all I'm doing. I'm not special. I was nobody to speak of until I was made special by special knowledge. And I'm raising my hand for that. I was upset, angry, confused, frustrated, disillusioned, and the gurus of India came to me and opened my eyes to ideals that answered all my questions that were unanswered. No one and no thing in this world is entirely perfect. But until Western civilization has read that library carefully, they are not sincere. A library of that magnitude that's over 5,000 years old and people are not bothering to read it, really? Really? You're just going to ignore that and write it off because it's inconvenient, because it doesn't stand with the things you've been saying, but you don't have the honor and integrity and truth-telling to stand up and go, that's amazing. I didn't know that part. I don't know is the best thing any scholar ever learns. That's the secret mantra. I don't know. Please teach me. That's when you're a scholar. You're so hungry for the truth that any part that you don't know, you're just like a kid. You just, please, please, tell me, tell me, tell me. I haven't heard that one. So therefore you have automatic respect for scholars from anywhere. So this is all we need. I'm not telling you it's right, and because I say it's right, you should go do it. I'm saying there's the library. We live in an age where you have access to it. So what are you waiting for? You're a human being. Human beings are why creatures. This is the part we're losing. They're why creatures. Why am I here? Why am I hungry? Why do I not want to die, but I have to? We're the only creatures that are going everywhere. And if we're halfway awake, we're going, why? And if you were waking up when you were younger, you started asking your teachers why, and asking your ministers or preachers or priests why. So this talk is because gurus from Bharat came to the West when their culture was actually in shambles. And they said, you forgot something. And to the grandchildren of the colonizers, they gave highest truths they had. That's why anybody, but especially someone like me, begins talking about their knowledge like this. Om Guru Brahma,
Om Guru Brahma,
Guru Vishnu,
Guru Vishnu,
Guru Devo,
Guru Devo,
Maheshvaraha,
Maheshvaraha,
Guru Sakshat,
Guru Sakshat,
Parabrahma,
Parabrahma,
Tasmai Shri,
Tasmai Shri,
Gurave Namaha.
Gurave Namaha.
The Guru teaches you about the creative force of the universe and how it works. The Guru teaches you about the maintaining force of the universe and how it works. The Guru teaches you about the recycling force of the universe and renewal force and how it works. And then they're so kind that they give you a link to the transcendental, which is beyond our immediate vision, and they give you the knowledge and means and tools by which you may have a direct experience of what is otherwise invisible. And that is the experience that all of us have had, who were struggling with the limited amount of knowledge we had, and suddenly this tsunami of not only knowledge, but here's the next part. Think about this for a moment. Science, at the present moment, feels that it has permission to change everything about our lifestyle without asking anyone for permission. Do you think that's being driven by philosophy? Does it feel that way to you? Do you see a lot of deep, profound studies on the possible effects of new technology before it's unleashed on our children? Is that happening with computers? No. Is it happening with 5G? No. Is it happening with wireless? No. Is it happening in our foods? No. What is it driven by?
Profit.
Profit. So what it is really is that corporate forces, with knowledge they got from Bharat, from the ancient Vedic library, are using that knowledge to enrich themselves without studying the possible consequences of what they do ahead of time. And now what we call democracy, what we call politics, is puppet governments that are controlled in the background by the financial resources of these corporations who are family dynasties. Talk about a caste system. We've got a few hundred billionaires, trillionaires throughout the world who literally control everything, and they're the de facto dictators, and their idiot children are about to inherit their wealth, and they didn't even work for it. And this is the real situation of our world right now. It's terrifying. The technology that's being unleashed on us might as well be an atomic bomb, for all they know. And all the jobs that are being taken away, all the things that are being automated, good, what do we do with all the human beings? Well, do you see the conclusion? Isn't it obvious? We have too many human beings. According to what? According to robots doing almost everything. If you didn't get it, we have too many human beings because we're automating everything. And once everything is automated, we can get rid of all the people, or most of them. So that's got to be part of the plan. Because first you remove all the jobs, right? First you fragment all the cultures, then you concentrate all the wealth. Then you have organizations that are the children, corporations of today, are the children of colonization. The East India Company of England, all those places, all those corporations were used to pillage the world. And corporations to this day have no conscience. They're profit only. So years ago, I came up with what is the cure. It's called the CCO, the Chief Conscience Officer. CCO works for 2 years at one company and moves to another. They have a fixed salary of $150,000 a year, and that's all. They can't have more, they can't have less, they can't have black bank accounts, they can't have other assets. They have standard housing. It's an honorable job. And you make sure that the corporations are not switching their books or burying money or burying toxins or leaving legacies of poison behind. What's this got to do with the creative couple? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's that our creative force is endangered right now by science. And let me tell you how. Science is all studying about how things work. Okay, good. Glad they asked. So look at birds. Science can tell us how they work. Can they make a bird?
No.
So I ask then, so what is your knowledge worth? It's birds I want. It's not knowing how they work. I don't care, frankly. If I have a choice, the bird stays alive and I get to watch it fly, or I find out how it lives by cutting it apart on a table, which would I choose? Duh. So what they've done is taken the poetry out of life and made science everything. Do you know that scientia means to cut? Did you know that? The actual word means to cut. Is that knowledge which cuts everything to pieces? Well, what makes beauty then? Art. What is art? Creativity. Who's the personification of creativity? Brahma and Saraswati, the creative couple. And look, oh, look, his female partner is playing a veena, the most complex musical instrument that was ever developed, the sitar, with 11 sympathetic strings that resonate in the notes that you're playing, with round frets that can be moved up and down the neck, making 80 tunings possible, not just one like on a guitar, with a curved fret so you can bend a note all the way up one octave while playing one string. With a guitar, you can go a half step up, if you're lucky, by bending a string. When you bend a string on a sitar, you can go na 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 na, bending the string. Oh, just a little creative instrument that's existed in Bharat for the last 5,000-6,000 years, who knows? And our musical scale came from there. The creativity that is the real goal of life is being damaged. Right now, all the people who would play musical instruments to make a living in all the cities around the world are out of a job. Because people just switch on their cell phone. To be hungry for music, they just listen to it on the cell phone. So now there's a machine that doesn't improve the arts, it removes the arts. So then the only way that you can be an artist is to have a large company buy you and be owned by them. And then them promote your music around the world. But only a few artists can do that. Only a few actors and actresses can do that. Look, we even have robots. And what kind of robots are driving the robot industry right now? Female sex toys. Female sex toy robots. If you don't make them beautiful, no one will want them. Make them look like Robbie the robot. Do you want to have sex with my middle parts? I don't think so. This is very important. Do you know what the force was that made the internet possible? Pornography. Not creativity, not artistry. I learned this the hard way. A friend of mine and I started the first internet credit card acceptance corporation just before Sandy and I met 24 years ago. It's the last thing I did in civilian work in Silicon Valley. And he was a Mormon. And he was the engineering part and I was the promotional part. And so, sad to say, once we were doing credit card acceptance on the internet, we found out that 50% or more of our customers were pornographers. Now, he was a Mormon. And poor Mark, he had to go to Las Vegas to pornography conventions to meet with our clients. I wouldn't mention this, but I think it's the perfect irony for you to see what's happened to creativity. There's nothing creative in the animalistic level of behavior that's below human behavior. But the whole point of art and of yoga and of religion and of ideals and of philosophy is to elevate the human condition. So if we're not careful, the most vulnerable department we have is our creative department. And this is why Brahma and Saraswati are symbolically so important to us. Because these three departments are supposed to be healthy in us for us to be healthy. That mantra to the Guru said four things. It said four things that we need to address. There are three departments that we need to be conscious of. The one gets rid of any toxins in our system and takes all the dead cells and anything no longer useful and removes it and recirculates it in a useful way. And our creative department has to stay alive as long as we're alive, or else we're the living dead. If you're no longer creative, you're the living dead. It's just that simple. And there's no point to living if you're no longer creative. So what is colonization except going in and completely disabling a culture's creative department? And then doing what? And then taking their balance away, because now you've completely disabled their creative department and enslaved it. Is there such a thing as a creative slave? You understand? Because this is the way enslavement works. First, it kills your spirit, but your spirit is your creative spirit. Only later is that a transcendental understanding. When you ask later on, you ask bigger questions like, and so here's the next one. Okay, these two represent all beauty. So think of that for a moment. Look at anything you're ever attracted to, someone created. Now, if it's with man-made objects, we know this, we'll listen to some song written by someone, it has such a profound effect upon us that we realize then that a human being made that and we idolize them. Oh, look, there's the idol word again. We make them our idol. We want to be like them. What do we know? That inside them, the creative force is dynamic in a way that ours is not. We know we could not do that. So we idolize them. This is the beginning stage of yoga, idolizing human beings. I want to be like them. I want to connect with what they're connected to. I want some of that. And that's why everyone runs to Elvis's and to whatever famous person they run to, because they embody something we can't, and they must have the secret. And we're why beings. Why do you have that secret and I don't? Can you tell me your secret? Listen, wah, wah, wah. Do you want to know a secret? Wah, wah, wah. We sure did. Of course we do. Do we want to know the secret? We do. So this creative secret is the one that all of these amazing idols are demonstrating for us. They have it 10 times, 20 times more. But after a while, it's clear that the rest of them is still just human, isn't it? If you pay attention, you see the rest of them is not at the same level of excellence as that creative part. So this is where your yoga and your thinking starts to make a jump. Because you've already decided that the most interesting thing is the most creative thing. Because destroying is easy. There's no real fun in that. Just, you try it a couple times, and if you have a half a brain, you realize it doesn't even take half a brain to destroy things. But it takes a lot of very amazing qualities to create things. So the next question is, wait a minute. Does that mean that all of this was created? Hold on. I think I'm having a realization. If that's the ultimate why is everything so beautiful? Why am I so attracted to it? That's the ultimate question. According to the Vedas, that's the final question. The final question is, where does all this beauty come from? Not just one creative source, not just one great singer, not just a bunch of pop idols that I run at to try to be like them. But if I got close and if I learned to play, what I would find, as all the great composers and artists do, as all the great poets know and say, something makes me do this. Something uses me to bring this about. This song happened to me. I heard it. It already existed and I heard it, and the notes just downloaded, and I was just the Amanuensis writing them down. And this is the secret of the creative department. When you really understand this, you are possessed by something else, and you like it. And so does everyone else. It's not despicable. You're not possessed by something destructive. You're not possessed and want to destroy. You're possessed and beauty flows through you like you can't imagine. And forces you to write things down. This is how the Veda came about. This is how religions came about. Somebody got an uncontrollable message from something beyond their understanding. And this is the very essence of being human. This is the ultimate experience and state of being. Just imagine anyone who every day sings new songs they've never heard before. They wake up and just write a new song and orchestrate it. Just think of it. Think of just not waking up happy, but waking up and going, do-do-do-do, ba-da-da, do-do-do-do, ba-da-da, do-do-do. You're right. Get up in the morning first thing and you write a new song. And then you record it by the end of the day. Why is it not possible? Someone does it. Beethoven did it. Somebody does it. They're 5 years old. They're a musical prodigy. Why can't I be that way? Why is a 5-year-old able to do something I can't even approximate? This is the secret of being human. What is the magic that makes that possible? And my question to you partly is science helping us with that? Or is it colonizing our creativity? It's a very dangerous time, actually. A very relevant time for this conversation. Because we're just being lulled to sleep and assuming that if it's technological, it's going to improve things. Not at all. Just like colonization didn't improve things. So we've really got to rethink this and really become seriously thoughtful about this. So I'm saying to you that this department was destroyed over the last 5,000 years in India as its culture went into a state of decline. And that state of decline was a part of a larger historical process called the Mahabharata that took place 5,000 years ago. When the Supreme Being appeared in India 5,000 years ago, it used up a huge amount of resources from the culture, and this caused a degradation inside the culture. And from this, some corruptions took place, the Brahmins and other people started being inappropriately haughty and self-serving, and then the knowledge became a little corrupted. And then Jainism, the Buddha Dharma, Jain Dharma, and reform movements left out part of the knowledge because with it came this library and inappropriate people who would memorize the library or were the keepers of it. And then that brought them to the position where these outside forces from other cultures could colonize. And then they got colonized. And in spite of that, the culture is all still there. But think of it as disabled right now. But not so disabled it isn't spreading. So now look at the creative force there. Right now, millions of people have left Bharat and are living all around the world. Diaspora, Indian community. Did you know that everywhere that they exist, they are the smallest prison population? The Indian community, wherever they live, are the smallest prison population of the population that they move to. And they're the most entrepreneurial, most contributing. In India, in Bharat, there's a university called IIT. IIT is a technical university like MIT and Stanford. The difference is, if you can't get into IIT, you can still get a scholarship to MIT or Stanford. If you can't even get into IIT, they'll still give you a scholarship at MIT or Stanford to go there. They'll pay you to go there. Understand? So just try to get this in mind. This is 50 years after finishing being colonized, after being made one of the poorest countries in the world, having a massive population, 83% of which are still holding onto their culture 1,000 years later. And within 50 years of colonizing ending, they are the #1 science culture on the planet, with the most prestigious university in technology and science and mathematics on the planet in 50 years. Does that sound like a primitive culture to you? Again, wouldn't this encourage people to study Sanskrit? Wouldn't this encourage people to read that library? Wouldn't this encourage the question of what makes them so resilient and creative? And why don't they want to harm people? And why don't they turn into thieves and criminals when they go to other cultures that already have an abundance of those? So Brahma and Saraswati represent what the culture of Bharat used to be called, which is the Saraswati civilization. So I need to tell you what Saraswati means. It's Sa, Rasa, Vati. This is how Sanskrit works. Sa means 1,000 times greater. It also means one's own. And rasa, sva, sa, or sva, same word, rasa. Rasa means flavor. What is art? What is creativity, if not flavors? What is cooking, if not flavor? What is life, if not flavor? What is your life if you work, make money, eat, sleep, mate, but have no flavors? What if none of that has any flavors? So the very essence of life is the taste we get from each thing we contact. That taste infects us with an ecstatic experience that we know we want more than anything else. And it is that which is the fuel that drives everything else. It's our hunger for that is actually greater than our hunger for balance. And that's why so many artists unbalance their lives. You see it all the time. Because if they do have that creative capability, they become addicted to it and they can't stop. And so they do that all the time and their life starts to fall apart. They can't even maintain balance. They don't even shave. They don't even shower. They just go back and, like I said, they write another song the next morning and they're too busy playing to balance their life. So yeah, this can get out of control. Like being in love can get out of control. Or being in love and then getting angry can be the result of not getting what you want. And so creativity is actually the secret of life. It's the first secret. The next secret is balance. And the next secret is recycling. See? If you don't get out the waste, if you don't get out the part that'll turn to poison, if you keep your poisons inside you, if you get angry and then keep those poisons forever instead of getting rid of them, then you'll be infected by that poison always. So if you don't get the poison out, you'll die from your own poison. If you don't get your anger out, you'll die from your own anger. If you don't get your grief out and then dispense with it and send it away and recycle it, it'll poison your whole life. So those poisons are a huge secret. Shiva and Durga are the symbols of how to get rid of poisons and recirculate things in life. And Vishnu and Lakshmi have to do with how to hold things in balance no matter what you have, how to stay poised between the recycling process and the creative process. But the first secret is just like this. If you don't grow up, you can't do anything. If you don't grow up, okay, if you don't grow up, then you don't have a life. And therefore, creativity is the first secret. You see? Now, what I want you to understand is, because our culture isn't teaching that, again, no disrespect, but what the Abrahamic religions are teaching is it's all been decided. We've got it all. You don't need to add any. Second, you only have one life. Oh, that's exciting. You see? That's scary. You only have one life? Really? Yeah, not only that. If you blow it, dire consequences. Does that make you want to be creative? Mm-mm. It doesn't. It scares the hell out of you or into you. You see? So, this is really important to understand. It isn't that there weren't important ideas mixed in there. Where did they come from? I'm just going to do a callback. They came from Sanskrit. Sa, rasa, vati. Vati means to flow. Saraswati is the energy of the flow of creativity through your own being. When that's not present, she's not present. When that is present, she uses you to bring creativity forth into the world. You become an instrument. And just as every musician holds an instrument, they all know they are an instrument. They're being played by the composer's notes and they're reading them in front and they're going, this is amazing. I could play this 1,000 times and I wouldn't get tired of it. This just totally rocks me. And so they become the servant of that. They become the servant of that composer, the instrument of that composer, because the high that comes from being that is higher than they ever get. So what if we got in touch with the creative source? What would happen to us? Every day would be new. Every day would be fresh. Every day would be like the birth of a baby. We'd wake up like a baby every day. And all the poisons and toxins would be gone because our Shiva department or Durga department is also working. And our balance department is there so we can get higher and higher and higher and higher without crashing and burning or hurting others. And what if a whole civilization did this? Yeah, they did. And that's called Bharat. It's called India. They did. And they did for a very long time. As a matter of fact, they're so industrious that the word Indus is where industry comes from. I don't know if you put that together. Industry came from the Indus civilization, as in Hindu. Indus, Hindu. Industrial. Industry. Creativity. Creating new things. Creating more things. creating exciting things, having a musical system with not 6 strings, flat frets, no bending, no nuance, a 12-note scale. They have a 22-note scale with 11 sympathetic strings, 7 strings that you play, curved frets, movable frets. My teacher of sitar, his father was from South India. In North India, there's 10 ragas. In South India, there's 60 tunings of the sitar. And then come the ragas, and then come the various melodic components. This is from a primitive civilization, of course. I just want to throw that in, in case you think they're sophisticated in any way. And therefore, when you have these deities, and when you talk to them, what you're really saying is, I want to be a full participant in, this is very important. There's something going on in nature that makes our life possible. And the more you know science, the more sophisticated you become, the more you don't want to just know about it, you want to participate. That's the whole point, isn't it? See? Same way. You listen, go to enough concerts, watch enough drama. You don't just want to watch it anymore, you want to do it. In fact, you start imitating them. You go home and start doing their lines. What do you think? We have our children in our high schools now still imitating Shakespeare. Why is he still imitated? Because people want to be at least that good. The other day, I was walking in the forest and I met a fool. A motley fool. Good morrow, fool, quoth I. Good morrow, sir, quoth he. But call me not fool till heaven has sent me fortune. And pulling out his watch, he began to rail on Lady Fortune in good set terms. Just see, 'tis 9 o'clock. 'Twas but an hour ago 'twas 8. In but an hour we'll be 10. And thus it goes. From hour to hour we ripe, and from hour to hour we rot, and therein hangs a tale. And when I heard the fool speak thus on Lady Fortune, I began to crow like Chanticleer with laughter. Is that any less interesting today than it was in the 11th century? No. It's amazing. It's extraordinary to speak English. It's extraordinary. You see? So this is Saraswati. That wasn't me for a moment. That was William Shakespeare. That wasn't William Shakespeare. That was Saraswati. That was the creative force of the entire universe working through some human being to astound us and remind us that we should be that astounded anyway. We should look around at everything and say, who created this? How did they do this? Did they wish this into being? Is it just hanging in space? And we should stretch ourselves toward that. Understand? It's not a religion. It's an activity. It should make you wake up the part of yourself that you have, like every artist had, in a latent form, and then somehow it was activated. All this is activatable in us. You could have heard me do that and say, oh, that's amazing. He learned that and he was 20 years old in university and he still remembers it. Yeah, you could think that. And you could say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to memorize something like that and have fun at the next party I'm at, and I'm going to do something. Yeah, that's it. Whichever grabs you, whichever piece of this creative adventure we're on grabs you, if none of it grabs you, I'm sorry to tell you this, you're almost dead. So, pick up the tempo a little bit. So this is the thing we're supposed to realize in all this, that the difference between a group who encourages you to hold certain views of religion and a group of people who are inspiring you to be yourself is very different. It's the difference between grade school and working on a PhD. When you work on a PhD, you go to the library by yourself. Nobody tells you to do it. You research. Your genius works to find the truth. You dig things up that no one's found. You go and find a part of yourself that finds a part of something else. A force works inside of you, and suddenly the universe is using you to create the next reality. So I made up a saying about modern science recently, and it is that modern science knows everything about the love letter, but they're still afraid to read it. Do you understand? They're still afraid to feel it. Because feeling has been prejudicially described as a negative quality. Feeling has been framed. And along with it came beauty, and along with it came poetry. To quote Lawrence Ferlinghetti, so one night I was at a party and I met this chick, and we started dancing, and pretty soon we did the Papish two-step, and I woke up the next morning and she was blind in one eye and had one leg and hated poetry. And the punchline is, and hated poetry. It means he's in a disabled world, and he realizes that the Papish two-step, that the Abrahamic religion has disabled his creativity by scaring him about eternity, by telling him he has only one life, to control him, to get him to do what they want, because they've decided that that's the best strategy for awakening people. And if you do too, join up. You're at the wrong party. But if you don't, and you really are into this individuality stuff, and you get it that no committee is going to go with you when you leave your body, and you get it that telling you that you're evil for just being here is evil, if you hadn't gotten that one. Telling you you're evil for being here is evil. It's a way of destroying your creativity department. But if someone says to you, you're here because you chose to go on a great adventure, make it beautiful, look around you, see the beauty, be like that. Imitate that. Be like Brahma and Saraswati. Be Sarasvati. And what do we say when it's really, really happening? We say it's flowing. Sarasvati.
Swati?
Rati is Sa, Rasa, Vati. Vati means flowing. Yeah. It means to flow. So one's own, or 1,000 times greater, either, or both, flavors flowing through you, that's Saraswati. Sarasvati, who is the Shakti of the Creator. So let me see if I've got this right. When anything creates, it gets into an excited state that aligns itself with the laws of nature, because you have to align with the laws of nature in order to create within nature. Otherwise, you just destroy. And so with a cognizance of the laws of nature, instead of using those to tear things apart, you're used as an instrument to bring beauty forth. And now you become the point from which beauty issues into the world, and you give birth to something. This is a metaphor for having children, isn't it? The wonder of making children is that they can end up sitting next to you, and you've brought this extraordinarily beautiful being into the world. We have two right there, a mother and her daughter. I brought a daughter into the world. Amazing, amazing. But that same amazing feeling is what we're supposed to. It's a metaphor. Having babies is a metaphor for being creative. It's not the other way around. It's not that all your creativity is just supposed to go to making babies. Otherwise, by the time they grow up, they're not creative because neither are you. Thank you. And so this is Brahma and Saraswati. What I'm trying to show you is Brahma and Saraswati are the centers, the male and female central points of the conversation about creativity. So you don't worship them as in you're trying to ask them for something. What you say to them is, I want you to flow through me. I want to be your instrument for doing what you do, because the most dynamic agents of Brahma and Saraswati are beings with volition and free will who can be used as an instrument. So it turns out that they come into this world through us. And just imagine you're a drama student and you're in university, and somebody comes into town and they're looking for 1,000 people to go on tour on a global theater tour. How would you feel? And they're doing tryouts. How would you feel? Can you imagine? You're in university, you're a drama student, and you made your way up into the curriculum but this group of people are casting for a global tour of a huge rock opera, amazing road show that's going to tour the world. How would you feel about your possibility of bumping your game up to the next level? Okay? Understand? So what I want you to understand is what the ancient Vedic civilization realizes: if you didn't have external manifestations of this to talk to, you would lose it. But if you had a coach to talk to every day about your creative department, you would never lose it. And every day you'd get up and you'd talk to them and say, and you'd use a mantra, and you'd read some passage out of the Veda that was about them, and that passage would stimulate you. So I brought something along. You'd probably be surprised, but
A poem.
a poem, or two or three. But this one is exactly about this very point. And the reason I need to exemplify it is that that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's flowing through me. You can feel that I'm inspired by this, but let me be more clear. This poem is called Sa Rasa Vati Vani Veena. The instrument she's playing is called a veena. Vani means vibration. Sarasvati Vani Veena is the vibration of the veena or sitar of Saraswati, which is how she affects us. She plays a vibration and it hits us, and we act as the speaker for that vibration. And we go, ah, ah. As the saying goes, when people are dancing, the people who don't hear the music think they're crazy. O Saraswati, please draw near and whisper the secrets of your wisdom in my ear. Somehow cursed, I have forgotten from the chaos in which I was begotten, but I have arisen like a lotus, ready now for you to notice. Then tend the garden of my heart, water with truth my humble start, and if you like that tender bloom, keep it with you in your room. So the sunshine of your every grace will shine each day upon my face. Sing so I may hear your voice, the songs in which all devas rejoice. Initiate me, oh, let me in to your hidden chamber once again, where golden letters from holy tomes recite themselves with sacred ohms. O Vani, vibrate all my cells with the vowels and consonants of your spells. Enchant my soul with words divine. Intoxicate me with honey wine. The Madhu, O Sarasvati, I serve you, so please save a cup for me. O Vagdevi, upon your swan, may I see you when all is gone. Virinji Patni, oh hear my prayer. Make me a comb to hold your hair, a crescent brooch upon your breast. O Buddhi Ropena, may I be blessed to speak the words you choose for me, to reflect the whiteness of your sari, to swim in the ocean of your ecstasy. O voice of the Veda, Manasvini, I am yours and will never take back these loving letters inscribed in black upon this paper, like the back of your swan. I pledge myself, my will is gone, and no dark night or human pain will ever dissuade me from being your swain. I have no fear of life or death. With your perfume upon my breath, nothing can harm me or bring defeat, for I have drunk your sweet Amrit. So every breath that I inspire fans the flames of your eternal fire. From where you sit upon my tongue, your beauty keeps me ever young. And when I fly to where we all belong, your name upon my lips will be my swan song. Now let me explain just a little bit. O Saraswati, please draw near. Whisper the secrets of your wisdom in my ear. Somehow cursed I have forgotten. Isn't that the human problem, forgetfulness? Don't we keep forgetting again and again, and learning and then forgetting? And isn't forgetting the enemy? See? Then tend the garden of my heart, water with truth my humble start. And if you like that tender bloom, keep it with you in your room. Sing so I may hear your voice, the songs in which all devas rejoice. Now listen, this is the other great secret. These beings were called the many gods, and they were framed as competition to the one supreme God. Instead, what this is like is saying that the orchestrator of the Philharmonic Orchestra is competing against the members of the orchestra. That they're competing against him. They're trying to steal his thunder. Whereas in fact, the conductor is inspiring all of them to create the symphony. And the instructor is happy when all of them do the just right thing to make the symphony. And they're happy when they get used in the just right way and get to co-contribute to that. And all together they make reality. But the instructor doesn't take all the credit. The instructor points to them and they applaud the instructor. And the audience screams with joy and ecstasy about all of them. Yes. Absolutely. And as James Joyce said, and I said yes, and yes, and yes, and then I said yes more, and I said yes, and yes, and yes. This is yes to life. This is yes to the orchestra. This is appreciating every single bit of divine intelligence that's co-contributing to make the orchestra that is our dinner, sitting on the plates in front of us, made by the person we say thank you to. So how many thank yous should we say every time we have the most delicious, wonderful meal that gives us life again? How grateful should we be? What kind of songs should we sing about that? You see? This is the excitement that is the very essence of what makes this. This world is made out of excitement. It's made out of being this excited and this invigorated. Because when you're this excited, you forget what hurt you 10 minutes ago. If not, you don't get this excited again for 10 years because something hurt you 10 years ago. Your call. Your call. That's yoga. Your call. Don't join a religion. You're in already. You've got religion. What you haven't got is an understanding of how to gain access to the incredible resources that are already within you and all around you. And there's nothing more important as a human being than gaining access to those resources. When you do, you become the ultimate cooperator. You do not become the ultimate exploiter, because you have so much gratitude that you don't know what to do with it. There's only one thing to do with it, and that's to give it away. And that's to give it away. And then your only sadness left is that people don't know what they're missing. They don't know what you're trying to give away. And so my guru said that there's a saying in India that when you go door to door, if you take a beautiful ripe mango door to door and try to give it away, people will refuse it and say, "What's wrong with this mango?" So the hardest thing to do is to give away the truth. It's easy to sell and hard to give away. Isn't that amazing? See? So these great secrets have been damaged by all of this colonization. And this first wave of gurus coming to us landed this so people like myself could bring it down into street English, so I could spend time like this revealing their secrets to you and introducing them to you so you would know why you have them in your living room or in your special room or on your altar, so that you can talk to them and they can talk to you. And so that this conversation about your creativity isn't inaccessible to you, you see? So this is, interestingly enough, this is talking to ourselves. Because our self is just like when you dream. What happens when you dream is the dense body lies down on the bed and has to regenerate. And so the mechanics get busy, put it up on the hoist, and if you're crazy, you handcuff yourself to the steering wheel and you hover above your body all night long, watching it get regenerated. But what a waste of 8 hours, right? Imagine if you did that in the garage. You said, I can't leave my car. I never leave my car. You handcuff yourself to the wheel and they put you up on the hoist and you're there while they work on your car for 8 hours. Nice way to spend your day, right? Right. So what if I say to you, look, at night, the whole time of night could be creativity. You could be traveling all over the universe, because the only thing keeping you from traveling all over the universe is you're stuck in your body. All the yogis know this. They know if you can find the exit and the entrance, so you know how to go out and come back, then every night when you go to sleep, you can go, okay, bye, I'm out of here. I'm going to go visiting. You become an intergalactic astronaut. If you're really lucky, and children do this all the time, they call it daydreaming. Teacher's up in front of the room going blah, 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 geometry, blah, 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 mathematics, blah, 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 history, blah, blah, blah. And the kid's going. We lose that when we grow up, don't we? Growing up is growing down. We can't be a child anymore. We can't daydream anymore. We hardly even dream anymore. What's the point? Because I have to go my blah, 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 blah. So blah, 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 blah wins. Life is really a contrast between blah, 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 blah and your creativity. As one of my lovely professors, who's a dear friend, used to say, other than that, material life is just one damn thing after another. That's stuff you have to do to be here. See? So just imagine you've got so much time left, and you can either be excited and therefore get excited to the point that it doesn't destabilize you, so you're still like this, hanging on for dear life. But isn't this how a rocket ship goes off? It goes, you think, oh my God, it's going to blow up right on the pad. Once in a while it did, but no, it doesn't. It goes, oh, it starts. NASA, we have liftoff. That's yoga. Anything other than that is not yoga. Asana is just the launch pad. Got to have the launch pad. But asana is just the launch pad. Pranayama is just getting the engine all revved up and getting everything circulated and making sure nothing will break when it flies. But mantra and meditation and knowing how to talk, this is the secret, knowing how to talk to the idols, just your human idols, they're the ones that have gotten the benefit in a previous life. They've developed this craziness and they have it automatically, but if you ask them how to get it, they can't tell you. They can write a symphony, but they can't tell you how to write a symphony. This is what yoga is. Yoga is your invitation to be directly able to reach your full potential. Anything other than that is not yoga. It's to activate that so that you're already at your full individual potential by the time you leave your physical body. Because that is when this is going to be tested finally. It's tested every night when you go to sleep, but it's going to be tested when you leave your body, because you'll either be ready for that much freedom or you won't. And if you're still attached to some unhappiness that you had on earth before, you'll still have to go work that out. Just like it's still true here, that if you're still unhappy from something that happened 10 hours ago, or 10 years ago, or 10 minutes ago, that's just disabling. That's your recycling department's not working so well, and your creative department is shut down. See? So honoring these three departments is the fundamental basis of the last stage of yoga, which is called dhyana. The 8 limbs of yoga are asana, yam and niyam actually come first. Internal and external do's and don'ts. So you're balanced and you stay in the right lifestyle. Then asana, so yam and niyam, asana, pranayam, and now we get really serious, pratyahara. The senses are always looking out. We turn them around and tuck them in. So it's called the behavior of a turtle. Turtle pulls its limbs in and it goes inside the shell. That's the stage of yoga when you've done the external limbs, the 4 outward limbs, and you go like this. And now your full attention is upon your Atma at the center of your being, rather than upon the external objects of the world. It's a each of these are learned skills. How do you actually pull away from all the external input? You plug everything inward rather than letting it be occupied outward. So out here, the senses are chasing everything. Here, they don't have anything to chase. Lockdown. Next, dharana. One-pointed focus. Do you notice how this talk has a certain one-pointed focus to it? It appears to drift off and then comes back around. It appears to drift off and it comes back around. That's dharana. In our life, the same thing happens. We're distracted by this and distracted by that. But do you have the same focal point? Can you sustain it over years and years and years? This talk is the continuity of something I've been doing since I was 23. I'll be 73 next December. So for that long, I've held this single thought of activating this potential that's inside of myself and encouraging that in others once I knew how to activate it some in myself, as the gurus taught. Next, from dharana, which is inverted, remember? So you learn it out here, then you invert it. Pratyahara, now one-pointedness is inside you. You have to practice it out here first. It's like targeting with a bow and arrow. The bullseye's right there. You hit it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Now you go like this. It's harder when your mental faculty's there because internally there are more distractions. It's harder to hold a focus because there's no solid matter. Dharana. then dhyan is what we've just been doing. This tonight was a dhyan, a meditation upon Brahma and Saraswati. So because of that, let's do the mantra, because that's what we would have had if we were doing this as a yoga. So here we go. Om
Om
Aing.
Aing
That's A-I-N-G. Namo
Namo
Devi
Devi
Sarasvatyai.
Saraswatyai
Sarasvatyai.
Saraswatyai
Om
Om
Aing
Aing
Brahmanye
Brahmanye
Namaha.
Namaha
Om Aing Namo
Om Aing Namo
Devi Sarasvatyai.
Devi Saraswatyai
Om Aing
Om Aing
Brahmanye
Brahmanye
Namaha.
Namaha
Om Aing Namo
Om Aing Namo
Devi
Devi
Sarasvatyai.
Saraswatyai
Om Aing
Om Aing
Brahmanye
Brahmanye
Namaha.
Namaha
Om Aing Namo
Om Aing Namo
Devi Sarasvatyai.
Devi Saraswatyai
Om Aing Brahmanye
Om Aing Brahmanye
Namaha.
Namaha
Om Aing Namo
Om Aing Namo
Devi
Devi
Sarasvatyai.
Saraswatyai
Om Aing Brahmanye
Om Aing Brahmanye
Namaha.
Namaha
And in this way, you become intimate with them. You are in their presence, in their company, and instead of asking them for something, and this is the last secret, you ask them to become like them. It's called samadhi, the same as. So after dhyan, meditation, like we just did, which you see how the mantra brought it to focus? Could you feel how now if you kept doing that mantra and had the images in front of you, you could actually hold yourself on it and then turn it within and then look for the creative department within you and then ask them to reveal themselves to you within, you see? So that's the dhyan. Then the samadhi is the last stage. It actually happens a little bit at a time, more and more as time goes by. You hear them, see them. You see them in others. When you see creativity, you see them. You see Saraswati in someone. You hear it in their voice. You see that creativity. You know. You're looking right at them. And you go like this. You go, wow, yeah, look at that. I see you. The person goes, who, me? And if they're a real artist, they'll go, not me, them. They're doing it. So my last statement to you. In Rome, it used to be, in ancient Roman times, their term for all the devas was the genies, the jinn. Our word genius comes from that. And so if you said to someone in ancient Rome, you're brilliant, they would say, no, my genie did it. My genius did it. Demon also meant daemon in Greek. And Damon was the same thing. It was my genius. Did it, this spirit did it through me. I was just the instrument. I was just used as the instrument. This is what the devas are. They're intermediate between us and the ultimate reality. And they're the departments that are making everything possible here. Just as in our life, we should be grateful for all the people in the departments around us who do the things that make our life possible. We should go up to them and say, I so really, every time a mailman comes to our house, or the mail person, I say to them, thanks for coming up the stairs and giving me the mail. I really appreciate this. You do it in all kinds of weather, don't you? What's your name? Name's Bob. Thanks, Bob. I'm Jeffrey. And I really appreciate what you're doing. How many times a day should they hear that? Many as possible. Until they go home and go, God, I love this job. I meet all the people. I give them their important letters. I'm doing something worthwhile. I like this world. I like these people. See? So this is the Deva culture. The human culture learns how to be generous, divine, luminous, loving, artistic from these divines. And they all know, that behind that is an ultimate divine that must be so inscrutable, so amazing, so profound, and so sacred that all sacredness, everyone's pointing in that direction. You can't possibly be forceful or coercive about that final step. Any of these steps are really not coercive, but especially that last one. It's the ultimate mystery. So you kind of go, wow, okay, Wizard of Oz time, we're getting there, But this isn't the pretend behind the screen. You're in a department. So look how sophisticated we become. If you went on a world tour right now and went to all the departments that are holding the world together, after that year, you would never be the same. You'd know the names of the people that are holding the planet together. This class was that, I hope, for you. I hope you now have names for the creative department. I hope you put a place for them in your house. Give them a table to be on. Talk to them. Say their names. Ask them questions. Ask for them to be using you all the time. Invoke their presence. Do your very best to be the representatives of them. And then they will give you what they think you need to be the best you. You won't ask for anything. You never would if you really saw them. It's like if I introduced you to a billionaire, you wouldn't say, oh, I'm glad I met you. I really need money. Here's what I need. That'd be the stupidest thing you could say. But they'd say, so tell me what you do. And you'd say, well, what I'm trying to do is, I don't know, is the following. This is what lights me up. And if they hear it and go, that's amazing. You don't have to ask for money. They've already got money. They know what money's for. If you become creative, life will find you and use you for that. Thank you for listening. This poem has a pun, a play on words in the title. And the word is Amanuensis. And Amanuensis is a scribe who writes something down for someone. But in the title, it's I am Amanuensis. And in Sanskrit, the Manus were the beings who put the humans on the planets when the planet is ready. So mankind does not mean male. It means the beings descended from the Manus, who have Manusya, or a mind of their own. This misuse of mankind as not being male and female has caused a terrible imbalance in our society and a disrespect to the feminine. And so I am Amanuensis. In the beginning, before these worlds arose, the transcendental realm that shines forever bloomed with gardens filled with lotus and rose, and cast those seeds across the cosmic river. flying in beams of light that would burn like fire. They penetrated sleeping matter's core, igniting her vast potential with desire. Insatiable now, she hungered for more and more. Thus, Kama, the first desire, awoke his bride, Ratri, Maya, matter, the blackest night, ejaculating eternal beauty inside her heaving cauldron with impassioned seeds of light, bending his bow with darts of radiance while she, in purple robes of ebony hair, seeing each other, they both began to dance, creating vibrations that rippled everywhere. Ananga, bodiless, and yet still all-pervading, his bow firing 5 most fragrant flowers. On the screen of the mind, all beauty is thus parading, movies broadcast as if from distant towers, and as our heart is struck by those feathered arrows, released by the bow of our lover's arching brow, then Rati, whose passion fills every heart with eros, becomes the Devi, before whom all beings bow. Thus, beyond the animal drives of nature, the secrets of love in eternity ever entwine. The hidden visions our search for truth will nurture, eventually leading us back to our lover divine. This awakened desire becomes a lotus, which springs from the bottomless lake in Vishnu's navel, its petals unfolding with no one there to notice. The cosmic umbilicus slowly starts to unravel. All is darkness. Light has no space to appear. Nirvana, this emptiness. Matter is not yet unfurled. No creation, no sound, no substance, no ear. Yet there, on the flower, a singular being is curled. Aja sits up. The unborn creator awakes, and by his side a mysterious female is standing. But down through the stem is the path he immediately takes, intent upon knowing where his beginning is ending. Down the infinite deeps he pursues his origin further and further, but no closer to the source. He finally turns and goes back in dismay and chagrin, guided within by an unseen and unknown force. Back to the lotus, back to the start of his quest, back to the empty, unwelcoming absence of sky. And there Saraswati, a veena across her breast, transmits a mantra along with the reason why they appeared, why he could not find the end or beginning. She showed him the method of reaching the start. Gently she granted him vision and taught him to blend, to meditate and wait deep within his heart. Then, in the black, a word resounded, ta-pa, ta-pa. Sit and chant the mantra beginning with Om. You are the original being. Your name is Brahma. This message is truth that emanates from your home. The Creator sat and allowed his body to settle into a posture he could sustain for ages. There, enfolded by every fragrant petal, he read the eternal book that has no pages. He found the path that leads to the transcendental. He entwined and stayed for 1,000 celestial years, learning to transpose from essence to elemental, eternal forms, heard looking through his ears, finally schooled in art by each divine. His mind was filled with formulas sublime. He mastered the secrets of every last design and how to send them back and forth through time. Then Krishna appeared, and taking him by the hand, and led him back to the swaying lotus seat. The time was right for Brahma to create as planned. All his creative training was now complete. Finally, Govinda started to play his flute. Thrilled, Brahma awoke and began to sing, and Bach began to play upon her lute, which set in motion the making of everything. Shiva awoke and danced as Nataraja, moving the cosmos. Shakti began to shake. Agni appeared at the center of the yajna, while with his mind Brahma began to make all the forms he had learned in spiritual school. Every thought took form to swim or fly. Countless beings shaped without a tool. Endless realms and planets filled the sky. Brahma meditated upon himself in stages, step by step, as he sat, part by part. Rishis, Devis, Gandharvas, Asuras, sages, all emerged from his body by this art. Turned in upon himself, the fire of tapas formed the myriad species one by one. The universe a school, and each in a class. His fire at last emerging as the sun, eternal beacon, reflection of his abode, projecting light where eternal forms descending became at last the trees along a road, the countless creatures eating, mating, defending. Oh, who can grasp the scale of this creation? How Saraswati painted every wing, how every body began as ideation, how living in each one is a cosmic learning, that this universe is a university, formed entirely by divine intelligence, the school of experience of Brahma and Saraswati, made in the image of the contents of transcendence, that Brahma and she lived for trillions of human years, yugas, manus, manvantaras revolving, but we can only see them through our ears at a certain stage in the process of our evolving. This is Veda, eternal truth revealed, a book you must hear, a sight we see within. Inside our bodies, this secret is concealed, and I am their Amanuensis once again.
Wow.
My poor attempt to bring the Sanskrit truths that have been held and sung and passed forward by the great rishis for thousands and thousands of years. This knowledge is alive. It is continuing to reach its tentacles out to each being until every single one of them knows that their own self-actualization is the purpose for this journey, and that cooperating together and loving and respecting one another and seeing the miracle in each of us, in everything, that is the journey that we're on, and everything else is a distraction. Thank you for listening.
Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Krishna.